The Undercountry Music News is an excerpt of the weekly internet broadcast Undercountry Music, which features music from great country artists you won't hear on mainstream radio, as well as a roundup of the most interesting country music news of the week without all the fluff. To listen and subscribe to the full weekly episode, please visit undercountrymusic.com or simply subscribe to the Undercountry Music Podcast on iTunes. Let's get into it.
Good show, old chap. Why, thank you. Indubitably. Well, Grady O'Brien? Brian O'Grady? Would you happen to have the time? I most certainly do. It's time for the Undercountry Music News!
It's good to have my lungs back after a couple of weeks of kicking junk out from some terrible cold I came down with for DJing outdoors in the cold, wet, rainy stuff, which we're having some of tonight, actually. Wind's out there howling and growling, and it's a 3-dog night, if you know what I mean. But we're not here to talk about some old washed-up 70s band. We're here to talk about the week in country music news. And not just any old news, because you know what? Here's what the Undercountry Music News is. The Undercountry Music News is where I go out into the Googleverse and I launch my spaceship into the nebula of country music news. And there are some star systems that I visit that claim to have country music news. But when I set down onto the terra firma, I make a shocking discovery. It's all BS press releases, save for one, maybe two stories. So I gather up those 1 or 2 country music news story samples, and I blast off again into the heavens, soaring past star systems and strange encounters with alien beings, otherwise known as country music journalists, until I find another country music news planet. And I sat down on that country music news planet. I put on my little space suit. It's kind of cute. It's like a full body suit, sort of a jumper kind of thing. And I hopped down on the surface. Oh no, giant space crickets! They want to eat me! Ah! But I got lasers, bitch. Space cricket. Eat my laser. What was I saying? Oh, yes. And look over there. There's 1 or 2 country music news stories over there that I can grab, and a whole bunch of other BS press releases. So I gather the 1 or 2. You get my drift. I go from Country Music News Planet to Country Music News Planet and gather up the 1 or 2 stories that aren't BS press releases, that are actual news. And then after I've visited 8 or so planets, I combine all these awesome bits of country music news into a big ball of dense, dark matter of country music news. And I form a huge sucking black hole of real country music news that you don't want to get too close to, because you just might get sucked in. And that's what I do here every single week. Oh yes, and there's one other thing. If I go on to one of these country music news planets and they've got no country music news, I punish them with the ultra cosmic undercountry music news wet belch of the week. Would you like to hear a wet belch? Let's see what I can muster here. I gotta tell you, I haven't belched like that since I visited the Nebula Fam Fam.
Let's get started here.
Over at CMT, Country Music Television, Garth Brooks' new album, Man Against the Machine, is finally out, and Garth has revealed that his new song, Man Against Machine, will be the opening song for all the shows on his tour. Now, that's not unusual for Garth, because usually every show opens with a song off whatever the current album is, instead of a past hit, Surefire. You know, and it's generally always Surefire. Garth can pretty much get away with anything he wants these days, I'd say. He could literally walk out, take a dookie on the stage, and dance in it, and place would go nuts. You know what I'm saying? All right. Anyway, moving along. TheBoot.com. An update on the recovery of Randy Travis. He's apparently still unable to speak, but is writing music, playing guitar, and even signing autographs. For those of you who don't know, Randy had a heart attack and a stroke last year, which he is still recovering from. And TheBoot.com was quite busy this week, as they have a number of actual country music news stories, which I get to bring you this week. Emily West has a new record deal with Sony's Masterworks label. She is allowing people to get special behind-the-scenes looks at the making of her upcoming album via a platform called Pledge Music, which the article failed to really explain. And I don't know much about Pledge Music. I mean, what is it? It's that, music for people who like to polish furniture? I don't know. But apparently, you can pledge some money to her campaign and get all sorts of bonus content. Lemon scented, I suppose. I'm not sure if the pledge is just to pay for the making of the album, or if there's some sort of charity involved, or you pledge not to do drugs, or whatever. But either way, there you go. Also over at TheBoot.com, Jana Kramer's new song, Bullet, is featuring backing vocals from Steven Tyler of Aerosmith, who recorded his parts remotely and literally mailed them in. Jason Aldean has pulled his new album, Old Boots, New Dirt, down from Spotify, but is leaving the rest of his back catalog on there. The article does not state a reason why this decision was made, and instead only gives a couple of sentences towards Aldean, whose name commands the headline of the story. But when you click on it, there's just this few sentences about Aldean, and then they spend the next 8 paragraphs on Taylor Swift, and that really effing annoyed me. All right, that's all we got from the Boot this week. Good job, Boot. That's a lot of news. All right, Country Weekly. Loretta Lynn has a new record deal. What year is this? With Legacy Recordings for several new albums of new Loretta Lynn material. Okay, it's material that's been recorded but not released, that she's been cutting over the past 7 years at the Cash Cabin Studio in Hendersonville, Tennessee. And these recordings were produced by her daughter, Patsy Russell, along with John Carter Cash, son of Johnny Cash, hopefully with his pants on. That's a reference to last week's country music news, where John Carter Cash was arrested in a Canadian airport for going pantsless. Gotta love the Cashes, huh? The first album coming out from Loretta Lynn in this series of albums is still currently untitled. Over at the 615, which is a subsection of Billboard.com. Well, okay, the 615 at least gives us a little bit more about the Jason Aldean pulling his new album off Spotify story, but it's not a whole lot more. I mean, when I say a little, I mean a little. Okay, they state that a representative for Broken Bow Records, which is Aldean's label, stated they had no comment. So, I told you it was little, but it's something. And also over at the 615, Tim McGraw has ended his relationship with Red Light Management after 5 years with them. Red Light Management, and more precisely, Coran Capshaw, oversaw McGraw's split with his former label, Curb Records. His residency at the Venetian with wife Faith Hill, multiple branding deals, endless radio hits, mega successful headlining tours. I mean, wow. I guess it doesn't take much to lose your job these days, does it? All right. Tim McGraw is currently working with his former manager, Scott Siman. Also, in this shakeup, McGraw's publicist, Mary Hillard Harrington, was also let go. Off with their heads! Yeah, well, that's what we got over at the 615. All right, moving along to GAC, Great American Country. It's Great American Crap this week. They got no country music news, but they do have one-pan Nan Kelly's recipe for vegetable minestrone. Every other story was total filler. You know what? That's lousy enough. You know what? I like vegetable minestrone. I'm going to let him slide. Over at NashvilleGab.com, there is an interesting audio clip of Joe Don Rooney from Rascal Flatts talking about how he wishes more people would buy the physical CD to experience the full album rather than simply listening to the singles online. But that he does understand it. Well, that's refreshing, I guess. Folks, here, crisscross applesauce, sit down. Old Uncle Neil's gonna lay it out for you here. Folks, it is time to give this CD thing a rest. This physical format thing a rest. Give vinyl a rest. Give tape a rest. Give CDs a freaking rest. They're clunky. They don't fit in your pocket. I got a phone that holds more songs than an effing CD, okay? I don't need a CD. That's buggy whip technology, okay? It's not how people listen to music anymore. And none of this is going to change because some music artists don't like the way the deal went down. It is what it is, and it's done, okay? And you know what? CDs, not only do they only hold about 15 to 18 songs or so, but nobody trusts them. Nobody trusts the album that they're going to get from their artist or from these record labels to not be full of crappy filler songs other than the couple of singles that they've heard. They hear the one or two singles and they dig it. They go get the album and they're stuck with one or two good songs, and then they just paid all this money for a whole bunch of crappy filler songs that suck. And that's what the record labels and the industry gave us for decades and decades and decades. And they ripped us off. They wiped their asses on us. It is over. It's over. Got it? Digital rules the day now, and artists and labels gots to suck it up and go with it. Now, I do believe there needs to be a better cut for artists on the streaming and advertising royalties. And I highly suspect the recent actions by Jason Aldean and I hate to even say her name because she's just so overexposed, Taylor Swift, are more of a play to get that happening. But what will probably really happen here, all you people who are just over here applauding like they're making a stand for artists, you're idiots, okay? And what's going to happen here is that platforms like Spotify are going to cut those top artists sweeter deals. For megastars who can generate massive amounts of traffic to their platforms. And they're going to leave things as is for everyone else. That's what's going to happen. And you know what? I'm sorry, all you naive a-holes out there. Taylor Swift doesn't give a rat's ass about anybody else's deals other than the one that she's cutting, okay? Neither does Aldean. None of them do, okay? That you put your big boy pants on here and step into the real world with me, okay? We're all adults here, right? All right. Now, I keep seeing all these idiots online going, oh, Taylor Swift is making a moral stand. No, she's making a business stand, you idiot. She's playing the industry, and she's playing her fans. You know, I read an article a couple of weeks ago that Big Machine Records may be gearing up for a sale, you know, to sell themselves off, and that's Taylor Swift's label. She's basically is Big Machine Records, but you know, and Taylor is creating scarcity for her music combined with her popularity, and they're hoping that's going to push a lot more physical CD sales. Apparently, it's working because she's got the only platinum album of the whole year, and thus increasing Big Machine's overall evaluation and just basically pumping it so that they can get the most for it when they sell it. All right, and you know, I've only heard that in one place, so I'm not putting too much credence in it, but, you know, it seems like as likely a scenario as anything else. All I know is that those artists that are jockeying right now with these types of games can only do it for so long because, you know, ain't nobody buying discs anymore, okay? Except, you know, that you'll get the weird anomaly like the Taylor Swift thing, okay, that just happened where she's went platinum, and that's because she's got a million rabid girls following her every move, and that's only going to last so long. Eventually, those girls are going to grow up and get lives. Okay? CDs, nobody wants to store them. Nobody wants to clean them. Nobody wants to deal with them. Nobody wants the cracking jewel cases. Okay? I give both of these artists, Aldean and Swift, a few more weeks away from Spotify before they use their returns to Spotify as a way to get their face back in the media again. I'm predicting that both of them will make triumphant returns to Spotify after standing their ground and cutting a better deal for themselves like all artists should do. And I'm thinking that return will probably happen December 26th after they've milked the holiday season for physical CD sales. You doubt me? Let's see. Moving along, Taste of Country. You get to take an awesome, and I mean awesome, guided tour of Earl Dibbles Jr.'s tour bus. And that alone is the only thing worth making the trip over to Taste of Country this week, but it is worth making the trip to Taste of Country this week. And that's what's really important. Rolling Stone Country, they've been with us for about a month now, haven't they? Maybe a little longer. Well, I got a little something for Rolling Stone Country this week. It's the Undercountry Music News Wet Belch of the Week. Because they got Jack Bopka Bicka Booka this week. They didn't do their jobs. They mailed it in like Steven Tyler in a recording session. And this has been your Undercountry Music News. Thank you for listening to the Undercountry Music News. The Undercountry Music News is just a small excerpt of the weekly hour-long internet broadcast Undercountry Music, where I play music and have great interviews by lesser-known original country acts. Get on over to undercountrymusic.com where you can listen and subscribe. Stay under, stay country.